I in your shop? No. I'm like, I'm not gonna get the same thing as you.
I guess. Yeah. But they're still ordering it.
How does everyone feel about 5-minute opening remarks and 15 minutes of questions?
Better than 15 minutes of opening remarks and 5 minutes.
Did he say 30 seconds when he came in here?
Did he come in?
I thought he said, did he say 30 seconds?
No, you want to talk to me for 30 seconds.
Because the networks needed ETA.
Yeah, we're okay. Yeah. Well, if we can get like a rough ETA.
Yeah.
Thank you. So it's been. It's just because the show is waiting.
In about 5 minutes. That's where I'm
Okay, you got it. Okay.
Yeah, in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Sorry, when he said, am I handling the question? I didn't know if he meant it kind of meant almost like am I?
Yeah,
I didn't quite get what you meant.
how long it takes questions for. And
Probably almost meant like handling
oh no, it's just that translation. Lost in translation.
Recording in progress.
Bonjour tout le monde. Good afternoon, everyone. Je suis fier de faire partie d'un gouvernement qui est engagé envers le processus de négociation collective. La négociation collective n'est pas facile, mais lorsque les partis mettent le travail à la table, notre économie s'en sort toujours mieux. Dans les négociations actuelles entre la Compagnie des chemins de fer nationaux du Canada, le Canadien Pacifique de Kansas City et la Conférence ferroviaire des Teamsters Canada, une entente se fait toujours attendre. Après des mois de négociations, CN et CPKC ont commencé des lockouts, alors que les travailleurs de Teamsters au CPKC se sont mis en grève à minuit 1 ce matin. Ces négociations collectives appartiennent uniquement à CN, CPKC et à la Conférence ferroviaire de Teamsters Canada, mais les répercussions de l'impasse actuelle sont ressenties par l'ensemble des Canadiens. Et impasse, il y a. En tant que ministre du Travail, j'utilise les pouvoirs conférés en vertu du Code canadien du travail pour assurer la paix industrielle et offrir les solutions à court et à long terme, le tout dans l'intérêt national. En vertu de l'article 107 du Code canadien du travail, j'ai mandaté le Conseil canadien des relations industrielles afin d'aider les partis à régler les conditions en suspens de leur convention collective en imposant un arbitrage exécutoire final. J'ai également mandaté le Conseil afin qu'il prolonge la durée des conventions collectives actuelles jusqu'à ce que de nouvelles conventions soient signées et de faire reprendre immédiatement les activités des deux compagnies de chemin de fer. Des millions de Canadiens dépendent de nos chemins de fer tous les jours. Les travailleurs, les agriculteurs, les éleveurs, les navetteurs, les petites entreprises, les mineurs, les chimistes, les scientifiques, la liste est très longue et les impacts ne peuvent être sous-estimés. À l'échelle de l'ensemble du pays, d'ailleurs dans tous les coins de notre pays. Nos chemins de fer ont des répercussions sur l'eau que nous buvons avec l'expédition de chlore et ils aident à cultiver les aliments que nous mangeons avec de la potasse extraite pour l'engrais. Il est de la responsabilité du gouvernement d'assurer la paix industrielle dans ce secteur vital. Ainsi, nous examinerons pourquoi nous vivons des conflits répétés dans le secteur ferroviaire et les conditions qui ont conduit aux arrêts de travail simultanés que nous observons. Les Canadiens doivent avoir l'assurance que leur gouvernement ne les laissera pas souffrir lorsque les partis ne s'acquittent pas de leurs responsabilités envers eux à la table des négociations, surtout lorsque la sécurité des travailleurs et celle de la collectivité sont en jeu. Les accords négociés sont et seront toujours la meilleure façon d'aller de l'avant. La négociation collective est la façon dont les ententes les plus solides et les plus durables sont conclues. Des ententes qui sont bonnes pour les syndicats et pour les employeurs. Le Canada est une nation commerçante. Notre gouvernement fera tout ce qui est en son pouvoir pour préserver la stabilité et la certitude que nos chemins de fer et que l'ensemble de l'économie demeurent réputés dans le monde entier. I'll repeat it in English. I'm proud, obviously, to be part of a government that has done a lot for the labor movement and is committed totally to collective bargaining. Collective bargaining is not easy, but when parties put in the work at the table, our economy is always better off as a result. In the current collective bargaining negotiations between Canadian National Railway, Canadian Pacific Kansas City, and the Teamsters Canada Rail Conference, an agreement has so far proven elusive. After months of negotiations, CN Rail and CPKC began lockouts while Teamsters Canada rail workers at CPKC went on strike at 12:01 a.m. this morning. These collective bargaining negotiations belong to these parties, but their effects and the impacts of the current impasse are being borne by all Canadians. And there is an impasse. As Minister of Labour, I am using my authorities under the Canada Labour Code to secure industrial peace and deliver the short and long-term solutions that are in the national interest. Under Section 107 of the Canada Labour Code, I've directed the Canada Industrial Relations Board to assist the parties in settling the outstanding terms of their collective agreements by imposing final binding arbitration. I have also directed the board to extend the term of the current collective agreements until new agreements have been signed and for operations on both railways to resume forthwith. Millions of Canadians rely on our railways every day. Workers, farmers, ranchers, commuters, small businesses, miners, chemists, scientists, the list goes on, and the impacts cannot be understated, and they extend to every corner of this country. Our railways have impacts on the water we drink with the shipment of chlorine, and they help grow the food we eat with potash mined for fertilizer. It is the government's responsibility to ensure industrial peace in this critically vital sector. Thus, we will be examining why we experience repeated conflicts in the railway sector and the conditions that led to the parallel work stoppages we are seeing. Canadians must be assured that their government will not allow them to suffer when parties do not fill their responsibility to them at the bargaining table, especially where worker and community safety is at stake. Negotiated agreements have and will always be the best way forward. Collective bargaining is how the strongest, longest-lasting deals are made, deals that are good for unions and employers alike. Canada is a trading nation. Our government will do everything in its power to preserve the stability and certainty that our railways and entire economy are renowned for the world over. Merci beaucoup. I'll be happy to take your questions.
Thank you. I understand we have about 15 minutes for questions. We'll start with Nojoud Amelise, Canadian Press.
Hi, Minister. When the WestJet strike happened, the order for binding arbitration didn't end the strike. Can you confirm whether this order will actually end the strike, the lockout in this case?
We're confident that it will.
When?
The Canada Industrial Relations Board now has its own process to follow. It will be following that, and that will extend over the coming hours and couple days. Yep.
Okay, so sorry, can you clarify what's going to happen now, as in when do you expect it to end? Like will railways be operating tomorrow? And do you blame the railway companies for the lockout today?
The process is that I direct the Canada Industrial Relations Board. They, of course, are independent body, an arm's length body. They have a process that includes and requires consultation with the parties. They will be doing that and rendering a decision, I hope, very quickly.
Marlie Chabot-Johnson, Radio-Canada.
Combien de temps, si le processus va jusqu'à la fin de l'arbitration, combien de temps ça pourrait prendre? Puis là, je vous entends dire que vous pensez que ça va aider à ce que les gens retournent au travail, mais est-ce que vous exigez qu'ils reviennent au travail ou vous attendez à ce que le processus ramène les gens au travail?
Ben, on peut... c'est une question très technique, mais le processus va aboutir. Nous sommes très, très confiants en ordonnance de retour au travail, effectivement.
Est-ce qu'on parle de jours, de semaines?
Le processus ne s'allonge pas au-delà de 2 jours, probablement, mais il y a un processus indépendant. C'est un tribunal administratif indépendant, le CCRI, et ils vont se pencher là-dessus dès maintenant.
Et pourquoi ne pas avoir opté pour une loi spéciale à la place?
Parce que le Parlement ne siège pas.
Nick Murray, CBC.
Hi, Mr. I just want to go back to one of the previous questions, and I'm curious what the actual wording of the order is, because going back to that Industrial Relations Board decision from earlier this month in the WestJet case, they said that unless the order explicitly lays out either that the lockout has to end or that workers aren't allowed to strike, that both sides can continue those activities. So can you lay us out for what exactly the wording of the order is?
Well, you'll be able to get that, I'm sure, online at the appropriate time. I'm not quite sure how those processes unfold, but fundamentally we're asking the board to direct a resumption of activities and a return to work at the railways. We are asking them to begin the process of binding arbitration and to extend collective agreements that are currently in place.
Okay, but what does that mean? Are you ordering the lockouts to end and simultaneously ordering the workers that they're not allowed to strike? And also, how does that apply to CN that hasn't been issued a strike notice yet?
I'm ordering the three things that I just told you I was ordering: resumption of activities, binding arbitration process, and extending the collective agreement.
Olivier Fellon, Boissé, TVA.
Bonjour, M. MacKinnon. Qu'est-ce que les Américains vous ont dit? Puis est-ce que la crainte de devenir un mauvais partenaire, une mauvaise réputation a penché dans la balance pour avoir cet arbitrage-là aujourd'hui?
Voici ce qui se penche dans la balance. Il n'y a pas un coin de ce pays qui ne serait pas affecté par un arrêt de travail dans le secteur ferroviaire. J'ai parlé à peu près tous les intervenants économiques, mais ce que j'ai en tête, là, c'est aussi beaucoup les travailleurs syndiqués dans d'autres secteurs. Exemple, le secteur forestier. Ils doivent absolument faire expédier leurs produits. Le secteur de la potasse. À tous les jours, ils perdent une part de marché à la Russie. Donc, dans la situation que l'on vit actuellement en Ukraine, vous pouvez imaginer que ça nous préoccupe au plus haut point. Dans mon propre comté, moi j'ai un moulin de papier journal, mais le papier journal, ça va pas trop bien dehors. Et si ces compagnies-là doivent fermer leurs machines, ben, ce sont les travailleurs qui sont affectés, bien souvent des travailleurs syndiqués. Donc, notre économie en dépend. Oui, évidemment, nous voulons être de très bons fournisseurs et de très bons clients à l'échelle continentale, voire même internationale. On veut que ce soit prévisible. Donc, c'est pour cela que, comme j'ai indiqué, nous allons examiner pourquoi nous avons ces arrêts de travail ou ces menaces d'arrêt de travail à répétition et pourquoi particulièrement aujourd'hui, là, on fait face à un double arrêt de travail, un arrêt de travail en parallèle de deux compagnies que ça fait très, très longtemps qu'on n'a pas vu ici au Canada.
Craignez-vous que le NPD déchire son entente avec vous parce que ce midi, M. Singh était avec les Teamsters à Montréal puis disait qu'il n'accepterait aucune ingérence de votre part dans ce conflit-là?
Je laisserai M. Singh parler pour lui-même. Tout ce que je peux vous dire, c'est que je travaille de très près avec les leaders syndicaux dans l'ensemble du pays. J'ai consulté à peu près tout le monde que j'ai pu consulter dans les gouvernements des provinces, dans la société civile, bien entendu, et je crois comprendre qu'il y a consensus. Oui, on croit de façon absolue au processus des négociations collectives, mais nous croyons également que le Canada et son économie ne peut pas attendre une entente qui se fait attendre et lorsqu'il y a impasse fondamentale.
Jeremy Shaw, CTV.
It doesn't seem to be specifically clear how soon this could get workers back to work and trains running again. And so we've heard from industry groups on the economic impacts here, tens of millions of dollars a day. What will the federal government do to mitigate economic impacts?
Well, we are acting, I think you would agree, we gave negotiations every possible opportunity to succeed. Right up until midday today, I spoke to the mediators. I, as you know, visited with the parties in Montreal and in Calgary in the prior days. Came to my own conclusions, but we have an impasse here. We wanted to give these negotiations the absolute possibility of concluding successfully. We see little prospect of that currently, and I think I was pretty transparent and open about that. So now, what do we have? We have the tools that the law, that Parliament has given the Minister of Labour. Those tools include the ability to direct the CIRB to do the three things that I just indicated, and then to issue an order. We're hoping and confident that they will do that with dispatch, but they are an independent agency, and they will do what they have to do to make sure that they follow all of their procedures. At the end of that, I think you'll have the clarity that you're seeking.
What kind of pressure did you face from your American counterparts? What did you hear from them in those conversations?
Well, actually, I had very helpful conversations with American counterparts, with American businesses, with all sorts of stakeholders in the U.S., who have all, of course, gone through this very similar processes and have had similar work stoppages or labor conflicts. So I would categorize it or characterize it as helpful advice, understanding, and those relationships are extremely strong, and I know the government is very grateful for them.
Laura Dillon Kane, Bloomberg.
Thanks for taking our questions. So when it comes to the CIRB, I'm just wondering what changed between last week and now in terms of your decision to order them to impose binding arbitration?
Thank you. Good question. I turned down, as you know, a request from one of the parties to do something similar last week because we believe in collective bargaining. We believe that with a deadline looming that we could see some progress at the negotiating table. We wanted to go through that deadline to give our mediators, who, by the way, I need to say thank you to. These people have spent long days and nights in hotel rooms with union and company negotiators and done their very best, and they have a very high level of success. So we wanted to give it every chance of success, every chance to succeed. Unfortunately, in this case, we weren't able to, and that is why we have come to this decision today.
Did the decision have anything to do with your certainty that the CIRB would approve this request for binding arbitration? In a sense, why not approve it ahead of this stoppage happening and this damage that's already being wrought to the economy?
Well, there is a right to strike in this country. There are obviously mitigating factors. The ones I just finished describing, I think, at great length. The fact is that we believe in collective bargaining. We believe in the ability of workers and their unions to sit down at tables and freely exercise their ability to negotiate. And we wanted to give every minute of possibility for that process to succeed.
Catherine Levesque, National Post.
Hi, Minister. In the same vein of questioning, you had this option on your table a week ago and you rejected it. Can you explain why exactly, and were you still hopeful as of yesterday that there would be an agreement?
Well, I think as I just said, we were hoping to give this process every chance of success. We had our best mediating teams on the ground with the parties. I myself visited with both the companies and the unions involved here, and we gave them every possibility and every resource. Unfortunately, we are at an impasse. There is no question that we are at an impasse. The issues remain, the parties remain very, very far apart on these issues. They're important issues. They're important issues to members of those unions. They're important issues to the employers. It's not my job to pick sides here. We're interested solely in making sure that labor relations in this country remain on a sure footing, and that this very unusual situation where we have two national railways who have suspended operations, that situation not be prolonged unduly.
And just as a follow-up, is Canada still considered to be a reliable trade partner?
I think folks all over the world, I've spoken to many U.S. Business people over the last little while. I can assure you, many of whom, by the way, have important investments in this country, and I can assure you that Canada is not only a destination for investment and a place where the rule of law, including the rules of law that we are applying today, prevails, but the future looks very, very bright for investment in Canada, and that's one thing I've come to learn throughout this process. Merci tout le monde.
Oh, Minister, we've got Globe and Mail and Toronto Star here, so yeah, we've got Globe and Mail and Toronto Star here. Would probably like to get in, so Marika, there you go.
Hi, Minister Marika Walsh with the Globe and Mail. Thank you for your patience. The unions were opposed to binding arbitration. Have you communicated this to them, and do you know if they plan to challenge this order in court? Like, are they going to cooperate?
I've been in regular contact with the Teamsters, and of course, so those channels of communication in person, on the phone, have been wide open, and obviously consult with other labor leaders as well across the country. As for how they react to this, that is obviously something that belongs to them.
But to be clear, you don't have any guarantees from them that they won't challenge this or take this to court?
What I have a guarantee of is a power conferred on the Minister of Labour by Parliament that exists. I can't imagine it exists or would be a more practically or appropriately used than in the case of two national railways ceasing their operations. So we're very, very confident about the path that we've selected here. And as for the parties, either party or all three parties, you'll have to get their reaction.
I think we'll wrap with Stephanie Levitt's Toronto Star.
Hi, Minister. Thanks for taking our questions. You alluded to this unusual situation. You alluded to wanting to figure out why and how it happened. Can you elaborate on that? What is it that you're thinking? There's some who argue, for example, that Transport Canada regulations haven't been updated fast enough to keep pace with the needs of workers. But what is it that you're exploring here?
Look, we're having a dual, a parallel stoppage in two very, very important pieces of Canadian infrastructure, and I think you've all seen what is the purported impact on our economy and on the people of Canada. This happens all too frequently, but as I think my mother would say, the fact that there's two, that kind of takes the cake. So as Minister of Labour and as the person responsible for industrial relations in this country in federally regulated sectors, I think it's incumbent on me and on the government to inquire as to why this might be happening and perhaps offer some solutions to prevent it happening in the future.
And I guess just as a follow-up, I know we've all been seeking clarity about when the trains will move again. What is your expectation for when the trains will start running again?
Again, if you're sensing any lack of clarity on that for me, it's because there is an independent agency tribunal involved here who must follow their own process. Obviously, I'm acting at a very early stage here and hoping that they will act with similar dispatch. And I assume that the trains will be running, within days. But again, I want to be deferential to the process that will unfold here.
That's all our time for today. Merci beaucoup pour votre attention.
Merci tout le monde.
Merci, Miigwech. Goodbye.